Hello and welcome to the first installment of my instant ramen noodles review series. Today we are checking out the premium Shin Gold with chicken broth ramen. I've seen many people on the internet tout Shin ramen as the best instant ramen out there, and I've tried many other varieties but never the premium gold with chicken broth. With my curiosity piqued, let's give it an earnest review. It's important to make the distinction here that this is not a Japanese style ramen, but this is a Korean style Ramyun, and Shin ramen comes from the company Nongshim. I do thank you in advance for dealing with any improper pronunciations I may have in this video. Without further ado, let's open up this packaging and see what we're working with. So here's a look at the ramen noodles themselves before they are cooked, and these are going to be wheat flour based noodles. There are going to be 3 packets that come in the ramen from right to left. The packet labeled number 1 is going to have the dry dehydrated ingredients, most notably some dehydrated egg, a good amount in there actually, and what I believe are some dehydrated mushrooms, some dehydrated carrots, perhaps a little bit of dehydrated peas, and I think some other herbs, and maybe even a little bit of dehydrated onion. The packet with the gold lettering labeled N is going to be the chicken base. Now I will note that this is not really a chicken base in my opinion that can stand on its own. You can't just have the chicken flavor because it's more of a chicken essence. It's not salted enough in my opinion to stand on its own and be satisfying at all. I did try it on its own to see what that was like, and that was like having the ramen equivalent of chicken LaCroix, just an essence of the flavor. There's no actual salted, savory flavor that you're getting from that. It's just the base. And then lastly, the packaging with the red lettering labeled O is going to be the spice packet. Now I will note you do not have to add all of this. It depends on your preference for spice level. Real quick, these are the instructions for preparing this. You can see the ingredients as well as the nutrition facts. Feel free to pause the video at any point to check all those out in more detail. It's time to make some ramen. I didn't do anything fancy with the preparation, I simply followed the instructions to a T, so here's the finished product. I may have gone a little out of order, but I added the spice packet first, and I opted to add all of it to see what that would be like. Vegetables, and I think some dehydrated egg. After I let all the ingredients sit in the freshly boiled water for a few minutes, the final product was ready to consume. And I have to say, overall, I was a little bit disappointed in the overall flavor of the broth. It was really dominated by that spice powder, which to me was just sort of a pepperiness. I did not get enough chicken flavor whatsoever. There was really not much of it at all, actually. When I tasted the dry chicken powder on its own, it kind of reminded me of almost like a rotisserie chicken kind of vibe. I was optimistic it would be a rich, chickeny broth, but it was really overshadowed, in my opinion, by the spice. I will say using the whole packet to me is pretty spicy overall. I think I'm someone who has a pretty high tolerance for spice, but I probably could have used a little bit less. But the spice itself wasn't a particularly enjoyable flavor for me. It was more of a peppery spice that didn't have as much nuance as I would appreciate it having. The noodles themselves to me had a really good texture. If you cook them as the instructions say, I think they have a good degree of chew and texture overall that makes them enjoyable, but the flavor of the broth really was lacking for me. It's not that it was short on spice, but that spice itself, like I said, really overshadowed any type of nuance from the chicken broth, which I was personally looking for and I love in a good ramen. The savory, meaty component of the broth was unfortunately lacking for me, and for that reason I would give this a 6 out of 10 overall for a rating. That takes us to the conclusion of this review. I was a little disappointed with this one, but I'm curious if you've tried this one. Did your experience differ? What were your thoughts overall? And what other instant ramen should I try next? I will definitely be doing more of these reviews, so I look forward to your input, and I look forward to chatting in the comments as always. Happy noodle slurping to all the ramen lovers out there, and I will see you guys in the very next video. Peace.